Hello, I'm Vincent Dieutre, the director of Viaggio nella dopo-storia, which is my last film, and who tries to... It's a story of a director, me, that wants to make a new version of the Rossellini's film Viaggio in Italia, and as he's gay and he's been having a boyfriend for a long time, he imagined that his couple that is going back to Naples and having a kind of a couple crisis. So I'm happy to present it in the Berlinale.
Welcome again to the Berlinale and to the Teddy Awards.
Yeah,
you may have made it back
to
Germany's capital and brought another very interesting film. And the first thing I thought is what I really like about your work is that voice, those voiceovers, and it's very poetic and it gives a lot of beautiful control. Because my first thought was it's you gain a lot of control, right? If you comment on things, and that can sound negative, but it's not negative really. But I really wanted to ask you what that is. Why are you so obsessed with that voice over? What tool is it for you?
I think it's maybe because I use cinema mostly as a way to make kind of a diary of my life, you know, and even if these are different films, it's always a chapter of this biopic I'm doing about myself, or I would say this cinema character I invented from film to film. And even though this film, Viaggio nella dopo-storia, is what I call exercise in admiration, it's a force of it, but it's still part of this autobiographic work, but that goes back to films or books or even play or paintings, music that has been, what I say in the film, that has been building me as an artist and also as a man. And maybe the fact that my voice is in it, telling what's going on, how I feel about, in general, doing the film. Also, it's a way to reflect with, to think with the spectator about what is going on, what are we doing, and I didn't want to make a simple remake of the film, you know, each scene and say now these are two gays. It was and just play on that. I wanted also to ask myself and the spectator, why do I feel the necessity of redoing that process of a film of 1954?
Why?
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 I haven't got the answer, but I had the desire, and I managed to share it with Simon and the crew. And I tried to give some answers in the film, saying maybe that when I saw it, I mixed Ingrid Bergman and my mother. I remember at that time that, you know, my parents were not fighting, but there were this little tension between them that I felt. And maybe when I saw the film, I saw the same thing. And I was also telling myself that today, maybe we are the first generation who will know old married gay couples.
Yes.
You know, having
is that? Do you think that
crisis?
Couple crisis. Yeah. Is that? Can that be an aim though of the queer or the gay community to? Because there's been a lot of discussion, I think, again, since there was this big breakthrough in the United States too. That is, you know, in this big, powerful country, it's possible there now too. But there's also a lot of criticism because of the idea that like all of a sudden you conform to this very like heterosexual, you know, like married, and you have like a certain role to play, and it's against the idea of kind of the gay liberation movement where you're like
exactly
freedom.
It's, maybe against the idea of queer.
Yeah.
Also of a certain function of subversion that gay should have. That's why the film is also a question about that, because in a certain way these two guys that are bourgeois couple, they come from London. Obviously one of them is a trader making money. You don't have time to go there, and they are part also, we can feel that a little bit of the art world in London. So they are friends with Gilbert and George, and you know they're quite in the mood. But they are the upper class,
Yes, I think so
dominating
too.
class.
Yeah, I think so too.
Even if I took off the Bentley, but I think in the Rossellini film it was very strong.
Yes,
They are a little bit like feel protected by this car, and they go to Naples. The Naples after the war, completely bombed, very poor, and they protect themselves in big hotels, beautiful houses, Capri, and it's a little bit the same. But so it's a question. Yes, maybe the marriage between men is also a way to conform to a certain norm, and that's why I try to take the same, not the same dialogues, because everything is adapted. The language changed a lot, and the technique, because they're always doing SMS,
technology and everything,
technology and all that. But the fact is, you're right. They are also protecting a certain class and a certain idea of tourism also. That
So
is
it's
not my
not-
idea of Europe. You know, they are really is sometimes.
So what are they representing?
Racist.
What are they representing in a way to you?
They're representing, yes, the gay couple as a form of, maybe as was the Ingmar Bergman couple also in the 70s. But I think that now we are in a certain way able to compare these two possibilities, and maybe to realize that asking for the rights was definitely okay. But it's not the major issue of queer and homosexuality, I guess.
Do you think sexuality plays a role in that in your film, and sensuality?
I think it plays a big role in the sense it's never said, as it was in the film of Rossellini. But in the Rossellini film, there is not at all between them no gesture, anything, and this I tried to respect that. But for example, in the Rossellini's film, when they go to that party, or when George Sander goes to Capri, he just have a flirt with another woman in the film, and there obviously fuck together, but I don't film the scene. It just close the door and
why? Because I also do think that talking about like older gay couples, there's really a lack of representation in terms of sexuality and the visualization of it, or seeing it, being exposed to it in a way. Do you think about that at all, or is that something?
No, I didn't want to do that in the film because I wanted to keep parallel with the model of the film overall, but. I think it's very present in the non-shown things. For example, in my diary inside the film, I receive SMS from other men, so obviously, but it's never shown. It's
because
only
in your first film I saw,
yeah,
it was very
I know,
vocal.
I already
Your
did
sexuality,
it.
yeah, it was
I
very,
already
very
did
vocal.
it, so, and I did a film with porn, self-porn scenes, so I have nothing to prove about. No, I really wanted to be ambiguous with the black and white and the 50s and years of today, having kind of a game with overall with the form, with the colors that is coming and going in the film like that. All these screens of computers, mobile phone and TV. So it's more in that, but I think that one of the major issues and that gay couple thing is that sexuality is definitely independent of sentiments and feelings. There are two things different. And,
Can you explain that a little bit? What?
I think that, for example, even now, in general, two men that get to know each other, they make love first, and then they see if they have things in common. You know, it's
So the physical goes
and the
before
idea
the-
of faithfulness is not the same. We have to say it. It's so it's another. It's another way, but I play the game of a comparison. But for example, when I go to the party, there I have a little flirt with the owner of this place, and he takes me in the toilet to take coke and all that. We don't make love, but it's the other is jealous, you know. But it's more a matter of a kind of a contract you can have with someone. And I'm very fascinated by that in gay couples. You know, some of them they can have stories out of the couple, but they they want to be the two of them.
Do you actually know? I'm still really interested in that. Do you know gay couples that are strictly monogamous? Very strictly?
I know, but
Some, you know some.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know some, but I assume they don't have any more sexual life.
So you think it's a killer, like the
No, it's not that. I think it's a choice. Many gays, after a certain age, they are not interested anymore.
No, that's
But
okay,
and it's okay with that. But I guess men's. I don't know. For lesbians, I think it's quite different. Very different. I talk about gay men couples. There is always an ambiguity about that, about the fact of desiring someone else for a night or is not that important as it was in the straight wedding of the 50s, for sure. But at a certain hand, you have to respect the feeling of the other.
Your partner.
It's more, yeah, it's really something that I think it does exist. Not that much that love between men has less to do with possession.
Yes.
And this maybe is something that remains subversive in the society, even the more bourgeois. And I tried to make the two characters maybe more complicated than they were in the film of Rossellini, that is really in jail with all these rules they had in this English bourgeois thing. They are more. For example, I wanted Alex Simon to smoke joints always. You know, he's always searching grass and offering joints to people he meets. So he's kind of, you know, in a certain way, he's perhaps the one who is more in the money things, but he's always perhaps more than me in life, you know, also like in,
interacting or like
yeah,
being social or what?
yeah, the pleasure of life, you know, really.
Okay.
And the other one is more in the art things, you know, asking, he's interested more in politics, going to that squat, artist squat to visit things, you know. I tried to reconsider the couple of 54 and to adapt it to that. But it's in any case a statement I make, it's just asking questions, you know, and overall to analyze my relation to cinema.
And did you script it before, or was it all happening spontaneously during the shoot, basically?
No. All the scene I rewrote the dialogues.
You really, yeah.
In French, and then I had them translated in English because the original version of Viaggio in Italia was in English.
English, yes.
Ingrid Bergman. And with Simon I speak in English, so it was kind of.
So what's your relationship with them?
Yeah, we knew each other very well. We've been seeing it a lot, and very early. As I met him as an actor on stage, really, I was sure we would do something together.
Artistically?
And, artistically.
Okay.
And I think this is maybe, for me, the most relevant proof of love. You know, doing something together, really.
Yes, creating.
Not
yeah.
only signing a paper, but and this is true for all my films, all the people that have been involved. It's also the way that, we've been doing something together, and I hope something beautiful. So it's really important, and this I guess is perhaps a more interesting form of wedding for me, of building something that you show to others. We've been doing that together.
And how did he experience the finished project in the end? Did he?
I think
What is his reaction?
the thing is that the shooting was quite short, so we were completely hysterical because it's a very small crew, and I didn't. I wasn't sure we could make all we've been doing. To be really honest, I thought we would do the three important scenes that remained in my mind on the terrace, and when he comes back from Capri lighting and they make as if they don't know each other, he's waiting for the other, and in the car in the beginning also. So that was the three things. And then imagining we started doing the others and said, let's pretend it's here and we do that.
So it was all in the moment. It was
yes, but the dialogues were prepared, and I had my friend and cameraman Arnold Pasquier, that is also a director. And at the last moment, he would look the scene on a DVD and say, so yes, we can do a little bit like this, like that, and we'll have more or less a version of that old scene. So, but I didn't look at it. It was, oh, sorry.
So you
fingers on the microphone.
so you didn't play the director in that. In the
I was
moment,
the
you
director,
were, but you didn't.
But at the end, I had to trust Arnold, and I did, and also the sound director. That is, it's always the same people in Jaurès and all that. So, and we had fun also because it was a very strange place in Naples we were in. So you have always yes, mixing real life and the film life. So it was. Really funny, and overall I love Naples, and we found this terrace that has a very beautiful view, like in the film more or less, except that in the Rossellini's film it's out of Naples, in the countryside. There it was really in the center, so there were a lot of noise.
Exposed.
But it was very, very interesting, and we had to involve also people from the city to help us, so it was really kind of also of a clandestine film because we didn't get any permit to do that. So we were shooting in the
guerrilla shooting.
Yeah, in the bus, in the cabs, like that, and it was very, very funny. So we had a very good time, very intense because it was short, and at the end we did almost the whole film. So it was funny, and we didn't have any commitment, for give back something. It was a try. So maybe that's why we managed to do it, because there were not a lot of pressure, and then I started look to everything and show it to my editor, Dominique Auvray, that is
And you have a really beautiful product in the end.
Yes, and overall we started to, as I did in Jaurès, it's the same thing. It's a very poor material, but now with the numeric thing, you can, turn it in something quite interesting.
Yes.
Anyhow, that's why I also use a lot of internet images that I mix with the film, because for me, the major issue was to mix a reflection about the gay couple as a form of today's bourgeois norm in a certain way, but also reflection about what is cinema today. For example, black and white today is just an effect. You have a button, you push, and it's black and white. It's not as it was in '54,
yes.
something, if he could have done it in color, he would. But so to reflect on that, and this was a work we could do afterward. With the colorist, we had all the possibility of
Superimpose.
and also to mix this kind of diary of making of the film.
Okay.
Shall I make the film? Will Isabella Rossellini say yes? There is all this discussion with the lawyer about, am I allowed to do a remake of that film? And to mix all these different levels in the film and to play with the color also. If you look at the film, there are different material used, and it's not very spectacular, but if you look, sometimes there is some blue coming, some red, and again it goes. When you go back to the film, it's more like a drawing, really. So we used also the form, the artistic thing we could have that are very poor but very efficient, I think. And then the music also, I found something very strange that makes a little bit like Hollywoodian film music, and then you have scratches, very electro scratches that comes on it. So it all was part of this.
It was a whole artistic journey you embarked on. And I think you have 3 more screenings.
Yes.
Here at the Berlinale. So I hope a lot of people will come and see your film. Congratulations again for bringing it to this festival.
Yeah, I'm very glad it's here too, and very glad to see the Teddy crew again.
And enjoy
for the 5th time.
First time you see, Please enjoy the next 6 more days, I think. It is. Thank you very much.
The diary of my life, and even if these are different films, it's always a chapter of this biopic I'm doing about myself, or I would say this cinema character I invented from film to film. And even though this film, Viaggio nella dopo-storia, is what I call exercise, is going back to Naples and having a kind of a couple crisis. So I'm happy to present it in the Berlinale.
Welcome again to the Berlinale and to the Teddy Awards. You made it back to Germany's capital and brought another very interesting film. And the first thing I thought is what I really like about your work is that voice, those voiceovers, and it's very poetic, and it gives a lot of beautiful control. Because my first thought was it's you gain a lot of control, right? If you comment on things, and that can sound negative, but it's not negative really. But I really wanted to ask you what that is. Why are you so obsessed with that voice over? What tool is it for you?
I think it's maybe because I use cinema mostly as a way to make kind of a... Hello, I'm Vincent Dieutre, the director of Viaggio nella dopo-storia, which is my last film, and who tries to... It's a story of a director, me, that wants to make a new version of the Rossellini's film Viaggio in Italia, And as he's gay and he's been having a boyfriend for a long time, he imagined that is his couple, that is in admiration. It's a force of it, but it's still part of this autobiographic work, but that goes back to films or books or even play or paintings, music that has been, what I say in the film, that has been building me as an artist and also as a man. And